Hello students, as we learn the crystal structure, how the atoms are arranged, what is the APF, and how the properties of a metals related to the crystal structure, and what are the defects which are present in the crystal structure, and how we can control those things, and what are the diffusion mechanisms which are there in the crystal structure. Okay, so next we move on to the fracture mechanics. That is, once we load the material beyond its limit, okay, how the material is going to fail. Or say for example, if a material is designed to take up some load, say some 90 kg, okay, so in the practical condition, the situations will not be the same as we thought during the design procedure. In the reality, it may be different. Okay, so because of those different things, the material may not be in a position to take up the prescribed load. It may fail within that. So how to control that one? So how to know the real situations? So before choosing any material, we need to know how that material behaves in those conditions. Okay, so that is what normally we say fracture mechanics. Okay, so we may examine the broken material, the surface of a broken material, okay, to know how exactly it failed. Okay, so whether it failed due to what condition, okay, whether maybe temperature or maybe the excessive load, okay, all those things. That is what normally we say fracture mechanics. And in the module number 2, that is what which we are going to take up now, in this one, so we are going to discuss how exactly a material fails. We have seen in the stress strain curve, the material initially behaves in an elastic manner, then yielding take place, then it takes up a load to a maximum level, that is ultimate strength, then it will fail. When it is fails, when it fails, when it is going to change its shape, okay, some deformation, or when it is broken into two pieces, that is what we say fragmentation. Okay, so that is what normally we say failure of a material. When we design a material to a particular limit, so as we know, there are different types of load, that is a tensile, compression, shear, or a fatigue, or a creep. Okay, under these loads, how the material is going to behave. Okay, that is what we have learnt even in the stress strain curve. Now if it fails, okay, by looking at the fractured surface, that is a broken surface in a general term, how we can know what type of fracture has occurred. Okay, so these type of investigations, that is investigating the fractured surface, it plays an important role to know how the material has failed and to overcome those mistakes what has occurred, okay, during the failure. These things, that is a investigation of a fracture, that is what we say fracture analysis, is an important step in plane crashes. Okay, so if you just google it, crash analysis, okay, so you will find plenty of videos. Okay, by looking into the black box, that is a recorded one, and by looking into the fractured surfaces, that is a broken pieces, so they will analyze how the fracture of that material has taken place. So as we move on, so here we say what is a fracture. Okay, so normally even in a human things, if you say some bone fracture, okay, some fracture has occurred. So how exactly we say when the bone has broken into pieces, okay, or two pieces, then we are going to say that as a fracture. That is a separation or a fragmentation of a solid body into two or more parts under the action of a load. Say normally when the bone fracture is going to occur, either maybe accident, that is a sudden hit, that is an impact load, or maybe when you're going to put a more load on that one beyond its capacity, or when you're going to compress the bone, okay, maybe when you fell down from the bike, when the bike falls on your leg or a hand, then okay, so means there are different types of load which are going to occur. Okay, so when under these loads, when it breaks into two pieces, then we say there is a fracture. Even it applies same thing to the material also. So during fracture, atomic bonds are broken and new surfaces are formed. Okay, see, for example, I have one bone, continuous bone. So when the fracture of that one is going to take place, it is now we have a two pieces, means two surfaces have formed. In a general thing, whenever there are a formation of a metals, we need to invest the energy. Okay, so that energy, how exactly we are going to get? That energy we are going to get by the impact load. Say in the accidents, okay, some impact load is going to occur. So by the impact load, so it is going to absorb the energy. Say for example, somebody is going to punch on your face. What will happen? The swelling occurs. Okay, swelling occurs means so where that swelling energy has got, when you are going to punch, okay, the energy from your hand has transferred to that fellow, okay, who got the punch. So that energy will be stored or it will be shown in the form of a swollen muscles. If the energy goes beyond that one, then the muscle transfers that energy to the bone and the bone fracture is going to take place. Means there will be a formation of a new surface. Okay, so to form that surface, there is a need of a energy. So as a mechanical engineer, okay, so we need to know how exactly the material behaves under a different loads. So these things already we have seen in the model number 1, where how the material is going to behave in a various manner. If it is a brittle, if it is a moderately brittle, or very ductile and moderately ductile. Say for example, what is a very brittle? Very brittle means you just apply the load, let the tension, okay, it will break like a chalk piece I said. Okay, so if you're going to pull apart, so it will break into two pieces within a fraction of a second. It will not take up that much load. Okay, so moderately brittle means it will show little bit elongation, little bit elongation. You can see the differences here. Okay, so and here you can see the fully brittle and moderately ductile. Okay, fully ductile and moderately ductile. The best example is a aluminium and a mild steel. Okay, you go on pulling the aluminium, you are going to get a thin wire, okay, and you are going to get a broken pieces, two pieces after a long time, like a small needle like a structure. If you take the same example with the moderately ductile, so we are going to get a cup and cone. So we'll see in the coming slides. Okay, means here you can clearly see. Okay, so in a moderately ductile material, you can clearly see the yield point, upper yield point, lower yield point, ultimate strength, all those things. But here in the fully ductile, even you will not be able to take up the slope. So in these terms, we are going to use a offset yield point method, okay, which we have discussed in the previous section. That is a 0.2% of the strain is taken, and we are going to find the yield strength. Okay, so as we move on to the fracture, okay, so we'll be having three types of fracture. That is, one is a ductile fracture, that's a type 1, and second one is a brittle fracture, that's a type 2, and third one is a shear fracture or a type 3 fracture. Okay, these things are very important. Normally they will ask explain the different types of fracture. Okay, so as I said, when we take up a highly ductile material, you can see the fracture will be like a pointed like structure. Okay, even if you go on pulling the chewing gum, okay, so you're going to get a small, very thin like a wire, then it will break. Okay, means there is a prolonged plastic deformation. Okay, it will show a prolonged deformation before fracture, means we can predict like yes, so after this much only the material is going to break. Okay, so there is a 100% reduction in the cross sectional area. Even we can take that one to the gold also, aluminum, gold or copper, which can be drawn into thin wires. Okay, so this is what we have seen it in the stress strain diagram. So when a piece of metal, okay, is applied under a tensile strength, okay, so initially it is pulled apart, that is under the load, it will resist the deformation, that is the stress. So there is an increase in the length, that is the delta L divided by L naught is the strain, F divided by A is the stress. So as it elongates, so there is a stage where there will be a decrease in the area, that is a necking, we say localized stress concentration. Okay, and as we move on, okay, so if it is a very ductile material, as we said in the previous slide, it will have a needle like very thin wire like structure. So if it is a moderately ductile, you can see there is a cup and cone. Okay, so this is what we said till here. Okay, in the second there is a elastic behavior. Okay, next once we cross the yield point, then it will be a plastic deformation. Okay, so ultimately it will break into two pieces. That is what normally we say a fracture. Okay, so how the stages are there? Okay, normally they will ask like explain the steps in a ductile fracture. Okay, so ductile fracture means it's a normally cup and cone fracture, we say. Okay, in general cup and cone fracture stands for a ductile fracture itself. Okay, so as we already seen, for a tensile stress, okay, for a tensile test we are going to have a dog bone shape. Okay, so this is the, or we can say dumbbell shape specimen. Okay, so which will be under a tension like this. Okay. So as we move on, so you can see, okay, so there will be a decrease in the diameter, decrease in the diameter, and as we move on, okay, you can see here a small black like structure, means a small cracks will form. Okay, again the best example is your chewing gum. So once you're going to apply the tension, that is you're going to pull that one, you clearly, okay, keen observe that surface, there will be first a small cracks which are going to form, and those cracks will coalesce, that is they will join together to form a long cracks. Okay, means the cracks will grow, the cracks will grow, and they will adhere to each other, and the micro cracks will form or will nucleate into the macro cracks, they will grow into a macro crack, and finally the fracture of that one will take place. Fracture of that one will take place like a cup and cone. So normally whenever we see that one for a ductile fracture, the fractured surface, here you can see, if you drop a line here, so always the cone, okay, and the cup which is going to form will be having a 45-degree to the applied load. So this is the applied load, and if you are going to take the surface here, okay, so it will come exactly at a 45-degree. Okay, normally the maximum stress will occur at a 45-degree to the applied load. Okay, so it is normally is characterized with the help of a cup and cone, you can clearly see. Okay, so this is a cup and this is a cone. Even in a coming semester you will see in a material testing lab where in a reality we are going to take up a dumbbell shaped specimen, we are going to put it under tension, and we are going to see exactly the way in which these steps are there. So the same steps we are going to see actually in reality, and we are going to see the cup and cone fracture of the specimen. Okay, so that's the first step. So if you see the second one, that is a brittle fracture. So how exactly these things are going to occur is, so once you're going to apply the load, that is a tensile load, so it will not show any elongation or it will not show any crack nucleation or a crack growth and all. Okay, so once a certain limit of load crosses, it will break into two pieces. Okay, so normally, so this brittle fracture is seen in a BCC and a HCP. Okay, in a this ductile fracture, okay, normally we observe in a FCC. Okay, that is a copper. Okay, in all those things. So in general, so what exactly happens in a brittle fracture is, so these fractures are going to take through the intergranular. Okay, so grains we have seen. We have seen a grains. Okay, so through that grain boundary, the fracture of the material is going to take place. The fracture of the material is going to take place. Okay, so these intragranular, okay, normally cracks will go or will break through the grains, and fracture surface looks like a granular one. Okay, so normally what we say, so these ductile fracture will appear like a fibrous. You can see small fibers, silk fibers, like that structure will appear. But these, whenever this brittle fracture is going to take place, so it is a intergranular. Intergranular means you can see exactly how the grains are made up of, and through in between the space between the grains, this fracture is going to take place. And here you will not observe any considerable increase in the length also, and even the cup and cone shape also. Okay, so the reduction of percentage reduction in the area and percentage elongation is very limited, or you can say negligible amount in the brittle fracture. Okay, so you can see here. Okay, so this is a grain and this is a grain. Okay, so normally this fracture will take place through intergranular. Okay, so if you recall whatever we discussed in a surface imperfections, okay, so there is a grain boundary. Okay, grain boundary, we call that one as a defect. Why we call that one as a defect? See, whenever these grains are growing, okay, two opposite grains will come and they will attach. Okay, whenever they are attaching, getting attached, so the atoms will be there in between these two grain boundaries. Okay, the atoms will not be able to move to any of the grains, and that area will be a weaker area. Okay, so normally the atoms which are there in that one are free to move anywhere. Okay, so whenever we are going to apply the load, okay, so these grain boundaries will act as a place where the crack nucleation and growth will take place. Normally these things are seen in a BCC structure. Okay, and the third one is a shear fracture. Okay, so normally this is found in a ductile single crystal. Okay, so this is promoted wherever there is a shear stresses. So what is shear stresses? Shear stresses means there will be two parallel forces, okay, which are acting away from each other. Okay, so normally these fracture surfaces are normally at a 45-degree to the direction of a tensile load. Okay, so as we said in a ductile material also, the fracture surface will be exactly at a 45-degree to the applied load also. Okay, so you can just try these three types of fracture surfaces by pulling it apart, crushing and twisting of a chalk piece. Easily will come to know. Okay, so whether it will take up the load or not. In the same way, even in the reality also, the fracture of the material is going to take place in that way. Okay, so what we say, whenever we are going to look a material for any application, you need to see what is the real conditions which are exist at the application. Okay, then we can evaluate the properties. Okay, so why the ductile is preferred over a brittle material? Say normally, see, we are going to invest a lot of money, okay, and a lot of human lives whenever we apply that material for any practical application. Say for example, a aeroplane. Okay, so if you're going to use a particular material to build the aeroplane, so we need to take care, like, see, there are hundreds of human lives which are going to travel in that one. and we are going to invest a crores of money in that one. Okay, so if we are going to use a ductile material, okay, as we have seen in the stress strain curve, so there is a, a prolonged deformation, that is a plastic deformation before it's a fracture. Means if the deformation is going to deformation is going to take up for a long time, then it is an indication that after this one, so the material is going to fail. But it is not in the case of a brittle material. So it will suddenly fail without any indication. It will not show even the plastic deformation also. If the material is going to fail without showing any sign of deformation. Okay, so the money which you have invested for that material, okay, and the human lives which are going to live under that area, okay, so it will gives to a catastrophic failure, we can say. Okay, so nothing, it is not going to show any indication, okay, like that it is going to fail. But if it is a ductile material, we can see, either we can see a bending or a change in shape of that one, okay, a reduction in the area or elongation in the material. Okay, means ductile material will show some what you call indication, okay, that yes, so if it is going to bend, we have to say like yes, this material is going to fail after some time. But it is not same case with the brittle material, so it will just fail like that. Okay, for that one, so always so it is to be preferred to have a ductile material than a brittle material. Okay, so as I said in the introduction also, study of a fracture surface will give a lot of information. Okay, so like say for example, maybe in a boiler, okay, we are going to use some material, so we have set the boiler to particular temperature. Okay, so say 1000 degrees Celsius. Maybe if that indicator, the temperature indicator or the temperature control unit is not working, the temperature crosses beyond 1000 degrees Celsius. Okay, so then whatever the material we used inside that one may melt and break into the or gives rise to some failure. Okay, so after failing of that one, so when we look to the surface of that one, we can easily investigate whether it failed because of the temperature itself or because of overload, whatever the things. Okay, whatever it happened, so we can easily find out that one using the fracture surface. So that is what I said. So these things are very important when it comes to the investigation in the air crash analysis, okay, or maybe ship breakages, okay, or maybe a big steel structure industries or a boilers. Okay, so wherever some failure has taken place, okay, so in order to investigate what has happened, so analysis of fracture surface plays an important role. And the last topic in this fracture is a very important. In a short form, we say this one as a DBTT. Okay, ductile to brittle transition temperature. We say ductile to brittle transition temperature. So very important this one. Okay, so normally we have seen a Titanic movie. Okay, so what happens in a Titanic movie? Okay, so the ship goes, okay, and the tip of that one will hit to a ice. Okay, then there will be a breakage, that is a crack initiated. You might have seen, okay, when it is going to hit, that is an impact load, okay, sudden impact load. So there will be a small crack, and that crack will propagate, and ultimately the ship breaks into two pieces. Means the material they have used in order to construct that ship surface and all was a ductile material. Okay, but during the prediction, they were failed in order to predict the properties of that material at maybe below 0 degree Celsius, because the condition was ice. Okay, obviously the temperature goes below the 0 degree Celsius. Okay, so that material property have changed from ductile to the brittle at that temperature. Okay, so the ductile material transited from ductile to the brittle, and the failure of that material has took place. Okay, means you can see here. Okay, so if you are going to take a 0 degree and above 0 degree. So at a higher temperature, the material behaves like a ductile, and as the temperature comes down, okay, it starts behaving like a brittle material. Means here you can clearly see, okay, so there is a range of temperature, okay, in between which the material starts behaving from or transist from ductile to the brittle. Means whenever we are going to operate such a material in this transition range, we need to take care, or else what will happen, the properties of the material will change, and automatically it starts behaving from either to the brittle or to the ductile. Okay, so that is what I said. So it happened with the ship, that is a Titanic. Okay, that is what we say catastrophic, means crores of money, crores number of living things. Okay, it's a cost of human life also. Okay, so as a failed to taken care. So only normally, okay, so these fracture analysis as well as choosing the property, okay, by looking at the conditions of the practical things makes an impact while choosing the different categories of matter. By knowing these, we can easily predict so how the material is going to behave in a various conditions in the practical situation. Okay, so this is a small topic where we can see so what are the different types of fractures, what are the different types of test strain curves for different materials. Okay, so how the fracture is going to take place, and what exactly a DBTT, that's a S curve. Okay, and a transition temperature, so what is the importance of that one. Okay, so easily you can expect the one question where they may ask different types or steps in the ductile fracture, or explain the DBTT curve. Okay, so where you can drop that S curve and easily you can explain the transition range in that. Okay, so maybe in the next classes, coming classes, we will take up what is a fatigue, a creep. Okay, there the different types of loading and how the material is going to fail. A very important to be thing to be noted here is see always if it is a ductile, there is a indication before the failure. So if it is a brittle, there is no indication. It will leads to a catastrophic failure. Okay.